In this video, we will review how to mark a student as a 21st century student in PowerSchool, both on a single record and in mass for a group of students, and show how you can pull reports for students who have had the checkbox checked for 21st century. I will say this video is used for training purposes only. No real students or data is portrayed in this video, and any likeness to any real student is purely coincidental as this is a sandbox server with fake students and fake information entered. So the 21st century markings for a student is very simple. It is a singleton checkbox on the federal programs page on the report, or excuse me, the profile of a student. So I'm going to look up a student here and click into their record. And in the new UI, the federal programs page is located under the compliance link. So compliance federal programs will bring you to the page that I'm actually currently on. If you're in the old UI, it is going to be on the Alabama State page, Federal Programs tab. At the bottom of this page, you'll see an area for student support competitive grants with a 21st century CCLC checkbox. If I need to denote this student as a 21st century student, I merely check the box and hit submit. That is then my indicator that this student participates in the 21st century grant. I'm going to go back to the main screen because checking one student is very simple. But let's say I had a group of 10, 20, 30 students that I all need to check that box on. You can mass check that box using student field values inside of PowerSchool. So I'm just going to grab a group of students. I'm just going to select by hand and just grab, let's just say these 5 students. You would select the students that you would want to work with. And then in the drop down for group functions, you want to find this one that says change student field values. The first thing we would need to know is the field name of that checkbox that we just checked on the student record. If I click on fields and then type in CCLC, you'll see that it'll bring up that field name that is this federal.x CCLC. This is the field name that we're looking for. So if I click on it, it populates that name here, and you need to place your value. Anytime we deal with checkboxes in PowerSchool, we're going to enter values of zeros or ones. A 0 means to uncheck the box, and a 1 means to check the box. In this case, we actually want to check the box, so I'm going to enter a value of 1. And so here's what my page looks like. I'm asking PowerSchool for these 5 students to take this field, which is that 21st century box, and check it. So when I hit submit, it's actually going to take me to a preview page and it's saying, hey, these students did have a value of 0, which means unchecked or nothing at all because it's never been touched for that student, and you're wanting to change it to a 1. You want to hit submit. Make sure anytime you're doing student field values that you hit that submit button twice. Now that box has been checked on all of the students, and I will just pop one record open to show you that now that box is checked. Now, let's say that you've checked boxes and you want to know who all you actually have an active checkbox on. Maybe someone else has been checking. There is a way from the search bar here for you to search, and it produces a list of everyone who currently has the box checked. If I just start typing in CC in that box, it's going to start populating the field names with that in there. And there's the field name that I need. It's my CCLC21. So if I click on this, and then press space equals space 1 and then do a space after it and hit enter, it's going to show me that currently I have 13 students with that checkbox checked. With those students as your current selection, you can then do things such as quick exports or list students if there were certain information you needed to pull out, like demographics or something such as that. Any of the normal reports that you can run on student selections can now be ran on this group of students. So maybe you wanted to run some of your PSCB reports on grades. You could run it and run it for this group of students only. But to help districts, because we know that a lot of times you have to go and look for grades or maybe incident data, an enterprise report has actually been built for this purpose. If you go to data and reporting, reports, and enterprise reports, or in the old UI, you go under system reports and then click on the enterprise reports tab. There is a report called ALSDE 21st Century Student Reports that has been made available to districts. If you do not see this when you run that enterprise report, then that would mean your district has not actually installed it for you, and you would need to have it installed for you to be able to view this information. When you click on this report, it'll take it a second to run because I will say this is a very labor intensive report because it's pulling all of your grading data for all of the students' grades. Now, notice I only had 13 students in my selection, but yet this right here tells me I have 113 rows. So imagine being a district that has maybe hundreds of kids that are 21st century. This could be thousands of rows right here. One of the things that I would highly suggest doing is sorting this by student. So right now they're just kind of all over the place with no rhyme or reason of how these are categorized together. So what I would do is come into actions, come to format, and group by. And what I would group by is you can do it by SSID or the student or the name. So if I pick by student and hit apply, it's going to rethink this and it'll take just a moment. Pause for a second, go to actions, go to format, go to control break, not group by, and I want to break it by student and hit apply. Once it refreshes, then what you'll see is that student, all of their classes, and we're in a new school year, so you don't see any grades yet. But as you get through posting grades and teachers start putting grades in the grade book, you'll start seeing their quarter grades pop up here. So I'm looking at this one student here. And again, all of these students have been identified as the 21st century student. You now can see times in OSS, and you can see all of their quarter, semester, or final grades, depending on how the district has those formulated. So this allows you to pull some of that information that you need for your 21st century reporting.